Every solid object in the room around you began as something that didn't exist. That chair, this screen, the home you are in, all started as an electrical flicker in a human mind, a pattern of pure potential. We are about to break down the physical mechanism that turns imagination into matter, a process happening inside your skull at this very moment. Understanding how to consciously direct this process is the fundamental skill for shaping the life you actually want to experience. Your brain is a prediction machine. It constructs your reality based on a model it has built from your past. Light hitting your retina is just raw, meaningless data. Your brain takes that data and makes a guess. It tells you a story about what is out there. That story is what you call reality. Neuroscientists sometimes refer to this as a controlled hallucination. You are always living inside a world model generated by your own mind. Most of the time, this model is built reactively from whatever life throws at you. It's an architecture of old memories, learned limitations, and cultural assumptions. You live inside a house you inherited. But the same mechanism that builds the house can be used to renovate it, or to build a new one entirely. The architect of that renovation is your imagination. It's the faculty that generates new blueprints for a different self, a different experience, a different world. But what happens when you intentionally and repeatedly feed a new blueprint into that prediction machine? This is where the boundary between mind and body begins to dissolve. Consider the placebo effect. It is the most rigorously documented proof that an imagined reality can create concrete, physiological change. A patient is given a sugar pill and told it is a powerful new painkiller. Their pain subsides. This happens so consistently that every new drug must be tested against it. A famous study published in the New England Journal of Medicine looked at patients with severe knee pain. One group received standard surgery. A second group received a sham surgery where the surgeon made 3 small incisions in the knee and then did nothing else. The results were astounding. The patients who received the fake surgery reported the exact same level of pain relief and improved mobility as those who received the real one. Their belief, a sustained act of imagining a healed knee, triggered the body's own healing mechanisms with the same potency as a surgeon's scalpel. This process is biological. Imagining a positive outcome can trigger the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. It can reduce inflammation. It can even influence the production of dopamine in Parkinson's patients, temporarily reducing tremors. Your body is constantly listening to the story your brain is telling. It doesn't question the story. It simply carries out the orders. This shows how imagination can rewrite your internal world, your own biology. But what about the world outside your skin? Can a thought really influence the events of your life? That sounds like fantasy. And yet, there is a neurological gateway that makes it possible. Inside your brainstem is a bundle of nerves called the Reticular Activating System. You can think of it as a bouncer, a filter standing at the door of your conscious awareness. Billions of bits of information hit your senses every second. You can only consciously process a tiny fraction of that. The Reticular Activating System is what decides what gets in. And what criteria does it use? It looks for 2 things: threats to your survival and whatever you have told it is important. When you decide you want to buy a specific model of car, you suddenly see that car everywhere. The number of those cars on the road has remained the same. What has changed is the filter in your brain. You have given it a new target. You have used your imagination to define a pattern of importance. Your reality has been reconfigured. This works for everything. When you imagine yourself as a confident person, your filter starts letting in evidence that supports that identity. You notice moments where you acted with courage. You perceive opportunities to speak up that you previously would have ignored. When you immerse your imagination in a problem you want to solve, your filter starts flagging stray comments, lines in a book, or random observations that contain pieces of the solution. These opportunities and pieces of information were always there. They were simply invisible to you. Your imagination provides the search term. Your attention system runs the search. You begin to literally perceive a different world, one populated with the raw materials for the reality you wish to build. But seeing the materials is only the first step. You still have to build. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Let me repeat that. On a neurological level, the two are almost indistinguishable. When a concert pianist sits and mentally rehearses a complex piece of music, brain scans show that the motor cortex fires in the exact same sequence as if they were physically playing the piano. The same circuits are activated. The same pathways are strengthened. This process is called prospection and is the human brain's superpower. We can live in the future before we get there. This is what athletes are doing when they use visualization. A downhill skier doesn't just hope for a good run. She mentally rehearses every turn, every compression, every split-second decision, hundreds of times. She is building and strengthening the neural architecture for a perfect performance. When she finally steps into the skis, her body is executing a program that has already been run to perfection in her mind. This is training. It creates real physical changes in the brain, making the desired action smoother, more automatic, more likely to succeed. You can apply this to anything. You can rehearse a difficult conversation, imagining yourself staying calm and articulate. You can visualize yourself walking into a job interview with quiet confidence. You can mentally walk through the steps of starting a new business, solving problems as they arise in your mind's eye. Each repetition is like a vote for that future reality. You are laying the tracks for the train of your life to run on, and with enough rehearsal, the imagined path becomes the path of least resistance. This explains how imagination prepares us for action in a predictable world. But there is a final layer to this mechanism, one that operates at the very foundation of reality itself. At the smallest scales of existence, things get strange. Quantum physics tells us that subatomic particles, the building blocks of everything, exist in a state of pure potential until they are measured. Before observation, a particle isn't in one specific place. It exists as a probability wave, a cloud of all possible locations at once. The act of observation, of measurement, seems to force this wave of potential to collapse into a single definite reality. A physicist, by choosing what to measure, participates in what becomes real. Now, let's use this as a powerful metaphor for the reality we experience. An unimagined future is like that probability wave. An infinite number of potential timelines, potential selves, and potential outcomes exist as pure possibility. There's a future where you start the business, and one where you stay in your job. There's a future where you learn the language, and one where you don't. All exist as abstract potentials. The sustained, focused act of your imagination is what begins the collapsing process. By choosing a specific future and holding it in your mind, you are doing something profound. You are selecting one probability from the infinite field. You're not just hoping for it. You're engaging the entire system we've just described. You are giving your reticular activating system a new target, so you start perceiving the world that aligns with that future. You are using visualization to build the neural hardware required to act correctly in that future. You are using the placebo effect to align your very biology with that future. Each of these steps makes that chosen probability more likely to manifest. It funnels your energy, your perception, and your actions toward a single point in the field of potential. The world responds to the version of you that you present. When you start acting like the person who is living that imagined reality, the universe has to reorganize itself around you. It isn't magic. It is the physics of consciousness. Your imagination is the most powerful creative technology you will ever possess. It is the faculty that takes the unmanifest and gives it form. It starts as a fleeting image, a flicker in the dark. But with focus and repetition, that flicker becomes a neurological blueprint. That blueprint rewires your body's chemistry. It retunes the filter through which you perceive the world. It builds the pathways of action before you ever take a step. And ultimately, it acts as the focusing lens for your consciousness, collapsing the infinite wave of what could be into the concrete reality of what is. You are always living in the results of your past imagination, whether you directed it consciously or not. The architecture of your life was built from these blueprints. The future is a vast field of unwritten probabilities. Your imagination holds the pen.